перенос.
Не, надо просто мышление позитивно. Я прям сразу один. Народа много самых. Народа было очень много, очень.
Но мне под спиной возьмите тот стул. Мне нужен стул. Возьмите тот стул.
Нет, там кисть.
Не стол для спины. Я не могу.
Вот это что? Нет, вокруг маты же. Зачем? Я уступлю ему прям. Я уступлю. Хоть это я на руку поставить. Ну ладно.
Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajacharya Stotra Sata His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Grandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Shanitai Gauda Premanand Ki. All glories to the assembly devotees. All glories to the assembly devotees. All glories to the assembly devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudire Nastapeshu avateshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti bhagavati naishtiki Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4. Chapter 29, which is entitled Talks between Narada and King Prachinavari, text 47. Sorry, I changed the 7 already. Oh no. Let me just have a look. Do you have your mobile? I see 2 mobile phones here. You have the German book. You have also a mobile phone. You have yours here too. So if you can all go on your phones to Canto 4, Chapter 29, text 47. Do you have it? Those with the phones?
Yes.
Good. Good. Prabhuji's, you also? You have the verse? Tasmat kamasu barishman. Tasmat kamasu barishman. Akyanad artakashishu. Akyanad artakashishu. Amarta trishtim krita shota. Marta trishtim krita shota. Spashish aprishta vastushu. Spashish aprishta vastushu. Tasmat kamasu barishman. Akyanat artakashishu. Marta trishtim krita shota. Spashis aprishta vastushu. Chant. Who would like to chant?
Tasmat karmasu barishman.
Tasmat karmasu barishman.
Adonam avatcha kashishu. Matcha trishtim kritafya shatra. Spashishva vastushu.
Tasmat karmasu barishman.
Tasmat karmasu barishman.
Akyanadata kashishu. Margadrishtim Krita Shrotra
Margadrishtim Krita Shrotra
Spashish Asprishta Vastushu
Thank you. Tasmat. Therefore, Kamasu, in fruitive activities. So you all have different languages, huh? So, which means you don't repeat after me. Understand? Bahishman, O King Prachina Barishat, Agyanat, out of ignorance. You can repeat in your own language, if it's German or Russian, that's okay. Atakasishu, in the glittering fruitive result. Ma, never. Artatrishtim, considering to be the aim of life. Gritaha, do. Shotaspa Shishu, pleasing to the ear. Aprishta, without touching. Vastushu, real interest. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. My dear King Barishman, you should never, out of ignorance, take to the Vedic rituals or to fruitive activity, which may be pleasing to hear about or which may appear to be the goal of self-interest. You should never take these to be the ultimate goal of life. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 2:44-43 it is said, Yam imam pushpitam vacham bravantya vipachishtaha Veda vadarata partha nanyat astiti vadinaha Kamatmana svakapara janma kama phalapadam Kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishvaya gatim prati. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, result in good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. Generally, people are very much attracted to the fruitive activities sanctioned in the Vedic rituals. One may be very much attracted to becoming elevated to heavenly planets by performing great sacrifices, like those of King Barishman. Shinarda Muni wanted to stop King Barishman from engaging in such fruitive activities. Therefore, he is now directly telling him, don't be interested in such temporary benefits. In modern civilization, people are very much interested in exploiting the resources of material nature through the methods of science. Indeed, this is considered advancement. This is not actually advancement, however, but is simply pleasing to hear. Although we are advancing according to such concocted methods, we are forgetting our real purpose. Bhaktivinoda Thakur therefore says, Jata Vidya Yatamaya Vaibhav Tomara Bhajane Vada. Materialistic studies are the glare of Maya only, for they are an obstacle to spiritual progress. The temporary comforts of life experienced either on this planet or on another planet are all to be taken as illusory because they do not touch the real purpose of life. The real purpose of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. Ignorant of the real purpose of life, people take to either cross-materialistic activities or ritualistic activities. King Barishman is herein requested not to be attached to such activities. In the Vedas, it is stated that the performance of sacrifice is the actual purpose of life. A section of the Indian population, known as the Arya Samajistis, laid too much stress on the sacrificial portion of the Vedas. This verse indicates, however, that such sacrifices are to be taken as illusory. Actually, the aim of human life should be God realization or Krishna consciousness. The Vedic performances are, of course, very glittering and pleasing to hear about, but they do not serve the real purpose of life. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sicetanya Manopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Ujjapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sarkachatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parichana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Vancha Kalpa Tarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Again the text. Tasmat kamasu bahishman akyanat artakashishu mata trishtim pita shota spashish aprishta vastushu. My dear King Barishman, you should never out of ignorance take to the Vedic rituals or to fruitive activity which may be pleasing to hear about or which may appear to be the goal of self-interest. You should never take these to be the ultimate goal of life. So here Narada Muni gives very clear instructions what is actually the means to attain the goal of life. And here the processes of karma and jnana are rejected, and only bhakti is established as the ultimate cause leading to the goal or purpose of life. So we spoke already last Sunday on what is the ultimate goal of life based on descriptions from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then we established that the goal of life is pure love of Godhead. Now, in that it's again a lot of echo. So, in that context, we spoke about like the exhibitions or the symptoms of a pure devotee. Because a pure devotee, much better. A pure devotee having pure love of Godhead as his ultimate goal, or is already established in that goal, shows extreme humility. Why? Because that devotee has realized the gap between where I am, what is my qualification, and what I actually want to achieve, which is so far away from me, which is actually with my own qualification I may not reach there. So therefore the conclusion is, I need mercy. And connected with mercy is hope, because we know there's a superior strength who will give us some benefit, who will support us in our spiritual journey. As we said, on our own strengths we may feel very limited, may we ever reach there. Like if we examine ourselves, what are our struggles from day to day? It seems that we are very far away from the ultimate goal of pure love of Godhead. But mercy gives us hope that someone who has it already, or someone who has superior strengths, will bring us there. That's a spiritual master. Now, once we came to that conclusion that we need mercy, and that we saw there is hope, that we may achieve it in this lifetime, we may become very eager. Because we are also given the process how to reach there, which is devotional service. So therefore, throughout the whole Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, all our scriptures, the process of bhakti is stressed, because it's the means or the method to reach the goal. Now, we want today discuss a little bit about the purpose of life and how we discover our own purpose of life. How do we situate ourselves properly in life to make the journey towards pure love of God? And here we want to just shortly reconnect with what we also spoke on Sunday. What is the mood of the gopis? Or the Brajabasis in general. But the gopis are the topmost devotees, and they give us the perfect example how to serve Krishna. Because they are the most qualified, but they are also the ones who take themselves the most out of the picture. The gopis are not aiming to enjoy with Krishna alone. They want to bring Radha and Krishna together. They have this mood of pushing others forward towards Krishna. Because they say, I don't have any qualification. But this devotee, she's the best. Radharani, she's the best. Therefore, let's make all the arrangements for Radha and Krishna meeting. So if we translate that into our realm of existence, to this material world, then we see the connection between that mood and the spirit of preaching. Because in preaching, it's all about connecting others with Krishna again. And here's the crucial point. Because if devotional service is about pleasing Krishna, so what is that activity which pleases Krishna the most? What are you saying? What pleases Krishna the most? Do you have any thoughts?
Kann das auf Deutsch sein?
Ja, gerne.
Frag mal auf Deutsch, weil das nicht übersetzt wurde.
Aha. Die Frage ist, welcher Dienst, welche Aktivität macht Krishna die größte Freude?
Какое служение больше всего доставляет удовольствие Кришне?
To fast. No?
Служение на преданном.
Can you translate? German.
Dienst an Devotees.
Service to the devotees pleases Krishna the most. Any more ideas?
Bringing others to Krishna.
Yeah, bringing others to Krishna. Why? Because Krishna, he's the source of everything. Which means Krishna, he has everything. Everything is owned by Krishna. So whatever we offer him already belongs to him. But we add our love as an expression in that offering, which again pleases Krishna. But there's a service which is superior to that. Because we offer something to Krishna which Krishna doesn't have yet. So Krishna, he is not forcing any living entity to come back to him, because he respects the free will of everyone. Only through the free will we can express love. Love can never be forced. It's something which is given from the heart. So therefore, the only thing which Krishna is missing in the whole creation is that love of his parts and parcels. Therefore, to bring someone back to Krishna, that's a unique service one can do. And therefore it's so much glorified in the Bhagavad Gita after Krishna speaks the conclusions of what surrender means. So surrender means to bring those living entities back to Krishna who turned away from him. That's the most pleasing service to Krishna. So that's the conclusion when we speak about pure love of Godhead. And this is what we see in all our acharyas. What they are doing? They're doing their bhajan because they have established the intimate relationship with Krishna. But they are all engaged in preaching activities to bring more and more souls back to Krishna. So when we speak about the ultimate goal of life, we can establish this as a natural consequence what pleases Krishna the most. Because love is a noun, but it's also a verb, which means it needs an expression, it needs action. Therefore, Prabhupada, he translated bhakti as devotional service. It's an activity. And Rupa Goswami, he gives that confirmation that bhakti is an activity. Krishna Prema Rupa Prabhu yesterday explained. It's something which we do practically for Krishna, which is pleasing to Krishna. So therefore we conclude, if we speak about devotional service, it must be an activity which is pleasing to Krishna. What is pleasing Krishna the most? To bring souls back to Him. And this is the mission which this Krishna consciousness movement is based on. So are you a missionary already? Are you connected with the mission? Srila Prabhupada, he established the 7 purposes of ISKCON. And that's our outline, how we keep that mission going. But if you look at these 7 purposes, they are in some sense generic. They don't give like a manual, do this and do that. They just point into a direction. Like the first purpose of ISKCON is to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large. And to educate all people into principles of spiritual life, so that we can come to real peace and unity in this world. It's very generic, but here's the opportunity for us to find our mission within the mission. What is my unique contribution I can do to fulfill that mission of Sri Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada? Now, when this question comes up in one's mind, what is my contribution? Then we may examine ourselves. What is my nature? What are my talents? What are my strengths? What can I contribute? We may come to the Krishna consciousness movement with certain kind of qualifications. But then suddenly someone tells us, no, you just go to the kitchen and clean the pots. That's okay. We need some kind of menial services to purify our consciousness, to come to the proper position as a servant. But for how long can or have we to do this? Not for eternity. Because at one point we have to engage our talents in Krishna consciousness. Now, the challenge is to stay on course. Because we may set a goal, but then there are again so many distractions in this world. Like when you fly an airplane, actually we are not pilots and we're not flying an airplane, but an airplane has a certain destination. It goes from Zurich to Toronto. But on that way to Toronto, the airplane is practically all the time off course. Because there are so many influences which bring that airplane or distract it from its destination. So therefore the job of the pilot is to always realign the airplane to reach in the end Toronto. In the same way, we set a goal, but then the challenges of life may always distract us from our purpose. And therefore it needs constant realignment. So we have to stay focused. And Krishna, he gives the formula in Bhagavad Gita. That we need a single-minded focus. Otherwise, we may be many branched and we will not reach anywhere because we're constantly shifting the directions. Now, I remember back, like when I left the temple in, this was 2017, in the beginning it was not so easy to situate myself again, because suddenly I was living outside of the temple after more than 10 years. But I had a focus, I had a mission. I knew what I wanted to do. So from my professional background, I was in business and management consulting. And I wanted to bring the two worlds of spirituality and business together. Like develop some programs for corporate, which include spirituality, in service to that first purpose of ISKCON. But suddenly I was confronted with so many distractions. I had to pay my bills, I had to find a job, I had to keep my spiritual life alive, yeah, keep some enthusiasm. And I could experience myself how I'm gradually diverging from my goal, from a single-minded focus. And it was only due to the mercy of Bhakti Rasayana Sagar Maharaj that I could cut that interruption or distraction. Because I remember he came one time here to Zurich, and I invited him to the restaurant where I was working at that time. I was cooking and doing some management, and he asked me, "What are you doing here? You're wasting your time, you're wasting your life. So you can do much more than this. So get out of this environment and move forward in your life." And he invited me to come to Mayapur, where at this time he had a leadership school, which was a 3 or 4 months training, really absorbed excellent teachers like the cream de la cream you can find in ISKCON, and devotees who are very professional in their careers. So I went to Mayapur and participated in that program, and the outcome of the program was that you develop your own project. And for me, this was like a milestone. Like, since that time, I never deviated again from what I developed there. So this became very firm, like the focus of my life. Everything else I'm doing nowadays is around that. And there's an important lesson behind. Because before I went to Mayapur, I developed everything in my head. It was theoretical. But it said that you can only move forward in life when you walk your talk, or when you walk on the path of Dharma. So we cannot think ourselves into our Dharma. We have to act so that our Dharma becomes revealed. Our Dharma is our natural occupation, what we are meant to do. So what I want to do with you today, we have around 15 minutes left, let's see how far we are coming, to go through a 3-step process, how we come to our purpose of life. This will be very brief and don't expect too much, but just to get some idea how this could be approached. And we're going to use a Vedic framework for this, namely the framework of Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. Have you heard this before? Maybe not all. Sambandha, we spoke also on Sunday about, describes our relationship with Krishna. We as a soul, how we are related with Krishna in this material world. Abhideya is a method or a means how to reach a certain goal. In our case, it's the process of devotional service to reach the Prayojana, which is pure love of Godhead. So these 3 terms, please remember those, because like all the Vedic scriptures, they follow this framework of Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. And if we see, we can translate it into all happenings in this world. Like, if you meet someone, then the first thing you have to do, you have to develop a relationship. You ask, what's the purpose of our relationship? And then, if the purpose is clear, how can we make that purpose happen? So that's something very common which we find in all situations and relationships in this world. Now, how do I want to connect these 3 sections with some practical steps? The first one, Sambandha. Shishi Jagannath Devsukha Maharani ki jai. Shishi Gordatai ki. So as we said, Sambandha describes our identity, our relationship with God and this world. Therefore, the first step in coming closer to our purpose of life is self-awareness. to really be clear, who am I? Now, this is a basic question which, like in all kind of self-help books which you find in this world, is addressed, who am I? But in Krishna consciousness we can go deeper into that. Because general people exclude the soul. So if you don't speak about the soul, then your relationship with God has no meaning. It becomes something sentimental. So therefore, when we address the question, who am I? We are very clear that I'm the eternal spiritual soul. And that's very important that we come to this realization, not just to a theoretical understanding. Because according to our identification, we have a certain kind of thinking, feeling, and willing. Which means our desires are shaped according to our identity. And our desires will push us into actions. Now, if you act in a certain way repeatedly, it becomes a habit. And your habits define your destination. Because you're acting just on auto-response, not being conscious. So therefore it's so important that we get it right from the beginning. Who am I? I'm an eternal spiritual soul. Which means these are completely different desires which I have, because my desires are in relation with Krishna. Therefore, when we try to discover our purpose, it's not something which is completely mystical. No, it's something very practical, something which is in relation with Krishna. How can I serve Krishna according to my nature? And also in that connection, like what we said before, we develop humility. Because our own strength is limited, but with mercy we can do the impossible. You know that slogan, impossible is only a word in a fool's dictionary. Srila Prabhupada said that. So with mercy we can do everything. And therefore when we speak about the purpose of life, we want to do something big for Krishna. We should not be small-minded and say, okay, according to my strengths, I can do this and that. But with mercy, you can do everything. There is no limitation. Impossible is not existing anymore. So that's the first step when we speak about self-awareness. Who am I? The second point in self-awareness is to be clear about our values. Because our values are like principles that guide us in this world. Whenever we challenge or we have to make difficult decisions, our values will determine how we act. And that's important. Like in Krishna consciousness, we develop certain kind of values. We accept certain kind of qualities to raise our consciousness to higher levels. The Bhagavad Gita in the 13th and also in the 16th chapter describes divine qualities. Now, if you're not clear what our values are, then it's good to make some exercise. Who of you knows what are your guiding values in life? Do you have any values? You're very shy. So how many values do you have? 10, 15, 20? It said when we speak about core values, it's good to have like 5 guiding principles. Now, if you're not clear what these core values are for you, then do a little exercise. You can take this with you and do it later. Like you write on a list all the values that are important for you. What are values? Values are compassion, generosity, mercifulness. Just look, beginning of chapter 13, Krishna gives a long list. But I would like to inspire you, before you look outside, first look inside. What are the values which you already have? What are the values which are natural to you? Because it's not that you take something from outside, it's more to rediscover what is inside of you. So once you wrote down that list, maybe you have 12, maybe you have 15 or 20 values there, which are important for you. Then in the next step, reduce the list to 10. Which are the 10 most important values for you? In the next step, reduce the list to the most 5 important values for you. So try to come to that core values which are guiding you in life. Because whenever we face with difficult decisions or in challenging situations, we can refer to our values and we can decide how we want to act. That's very important. This is like ethics. So we said the first step in self-awareness is to become clear, who am I? The second is to become clear about our values. The third one is to become clear about our passion and our purpose. And that's maybe the most difficult. Like, do you remember when you were a child? When you were a child, I guess there were no limitations. Everything was possible. You could just lie in an open field, look into the sky, and you thought everything is possible. We had this ability to dream, to look into a future which was completely different from the present moment. So everything was possible. The word impossible is not existing for children. This is something which adults into the dictionary. Why? Because we faced so many situations in life, or maybe life became so complicated that we have to start to sort out. We may feel overwhelmed because of all the impressions we get on a daily basis, about all the responsibilities we have to take in life. So therefore, everything which doesn't fit into the category, we sort out. But this is something which we have to relearn as adults. To dream, to open our mind, to see the impossible, and to take that courage and inspiration to walk in such a direction. I'm going to speak more about that in the next section. So your passion and purpose, this would be a whole seminar in itself. But just to give you that one point, if you want to rediscover your passion and purpose, start dreaming. Get out of the limitations which you created as an adult due to all the challenges and responsibilities which we have. So that's self-awareness. Clarity about our identity, clarity about our values, and start dreaming again. Now, when we speak about goals, I think it's very easy to write a list of goals according to our desire and needs. But often they are superficial. Because it's just according to the present situation, I want this, I need that. But go deeper. Ask yourself, what do I really want? What is behind that desire which I just expressed? And usually there's an emotional need which we want to address. So if we want to better understand ourselves, we always have to ask the questions, what do I really want? And a lot of discovery is going to happen from there. Because connected with dreaming, having a big vision, like we move out of our present self towards our future self. What's the difference? Your present self is how you're experiencing you right here and now. But this present self is very much designed by the past. Your past brought you here. Your future self is all the opportunities which you have. And this is a shift in mindset. Because usually we think the way I am today will be the way I am tomorrow. What I did in the past, I will continue to do tomorrow. But life would be more exciting and interesting if we walk towards our future self. That we see there are actually new opportunities coming in our life. And I consciously can develop those. They are not just happening by accident now. Now in the present moment, I have the opportunity to design my future self. What do you think? That would be exciting to write a letter to your future self? Or maybe write a letter from your future self to your present self, where your future self is expressing gratitude for you having taken courageous decision in the present moment. That would be another exercise you can do. Write a letter, either from your present self to your future self, where you express your desires, whom you want to be in the future, what you want to do in the future, with whom you want to be together in the future. Or you write from your future self a letter of gratitude to your present self for having made decisions to grow into a different future. So that's the first step when we speak about prayojana, or setting goals in our life. The ultimate goal we want to achieve is pure love of Godhead. But the distance is too far. Therefore, if you just keep it on that level, it's very difficult to keep enthusiastic. Therefore, we have to break it down a little bit. What does pure love of Godhead mean for me? That's a question we ask on Sunday. What does pure love of Godhead mean for me? Because, as we said, love is not just a noun, it's also a verb. It requires action. So therefore, we started the session today with, what is my mission in the mission? The mission on the topmost is to attain pure love of Godhead. But what is my practical contribution? So that's a very important question to ask yourself. Because then you break down that ultimate goal into different steps. I was doing this some time ago, and I just give you an example of how I did this. Like, I wrote on the top of a paper, pure love of Godhead. That's my ultimate goal in life. And then I went down one level, and there I wrote, okay, which means I have to become attached to Krishna, and I have to become detached from the material energy. So this was the second level. And then I was developing it, like, what does it mean to become attached to Krishna? Oh, I should absorb myself more in hearing and chanting. What does it mean to become detached from matter? Or to cultivate different desires? And it became like a pyramid, like I was breaking it down more and more levels, until I came to a point where I felt, wow, this is realistic. This is something I can do. So we have to make these goals practical. Otherwise, it's nice philosophy, pure love of Godhead, yeah, that's what we want. But actually, how to make it practical, this is crucial. The second point in setting goals is to look into the different areas of our life. We are very multifaceted people. Yeah? We are not just Hare Krishnas. We have our jobs, we have our careers, we have to make some money, we have to take care of our health, we have to take care of relationships. Like, there are different areas of life which keep us engaged. And also there, look, what are these 4 key areas in your life? What are these 4 pillars on which your life stands? And once you have defined those, then look, what is my present condition in each area? And you can make a very simple rating of it. You just look, which kind of mode of nature is predominant there. So let's make an example. Career, that's one area in my life. So which mode of nature is prominent there? At the moment it's very much Rajagun, because I'm developing new things. Ultimately, I want to bring this area of life to Sattva-gun, where I feel balanced, where I feel I do something meaningful, but it's not stretching me too much. It's not like taking too much of my energy. Because career is just one aspect I have. Another aspect I have is spirituality, which means I want to give proper attention to my sadhana practice and my service. So therefore, I have to balance these different areas of life. And the principle of sattva, or goodness, is what gives us that balance. If, for example, finances, another area, I'm all the time broke. I have to struggle for money all the time, which means this area is obviously in the mode of ignorance, tamadum. So I have to at least do some endeavor to raise that to the mode of passion or rajaguna. I have to make some endeavor to make more money. But once I have set my quota, I should find back to balance, to sattva. And what do you think? Which are the two areas which are most prominent in our lives, which are giving us the most stability for all the other things we're doing? Any guesses? Is it health? Is it relationships? Is it spirituality? Is it finances? What would be the two most prominent areas which most of us have to take proper care of?
Spirituality and relationships.
Mm-hmm. Spirituality and relationships, yeah, this could be one. I guess especially for someone who's living in the temple, would be very prominent because you practice spirituality and you have to cultivate relationships.
Changed.
Huh?
It changed.
It changes.
Changes.
It changes. It's like juggling.
Es wechselt, ja.
Yeah. I just speak from my experience and what I heard from others too, who are not living in the temple, who are living outside the temple. It's spirituality and finances. Why? Spirituality, this is your basis. But finances gives you the means to take care of all the other areas. If you have a family, if you have a home, if you have a career, if you are in education, you need finances to maintain that. Without money, it can become very difficult. And then again, the mode of passion and ignorance is taking over. Yes, Prabhu.
Я думаю, еще очень важно это в духовности относится первое, молитва и правильное почитание прасада. Но это влияет на здоровье.
He said it's like for him most important spirituality and especially prayer and honoring prasadam.
Perfect. We are already 5 minutes over time. If you go 10 minutes more, would that be okay for you? Yeah. If someone has to leave, please don't feel shy to get up. Prasadam is very important for him, so we're taking away from his prasadam service. So when it's about goals, we said it's important to have a big vision, to start dreaming again, and to look into our areas of life and see what are these 4 pillars, these key areas on which our life is standing. And once they are clear, let's have a look what kind of gunas, modes of nature are prominent there. And ideally, we want to come closer to sattva. Now, what do you think? Why are people not setting goals? Because actually it's not very common that someone has clear goals in his or her life. What could be reasons why people are not setting goals?
Some people, they might be not so logical, they can be more intuitive.
Mm-hmm. People are more spontaneous. Mm-hmm. Okay. I give you 2 reasons and maybe here you have more.
Bei uns, also in unserer Bewegung ist es populär, einfach so bis zum Tode warten und dann adieu amigas. Dann braucht man keine Seele.
So I don't have to make a personal endeavor because actually mercy is just carrying me forward. A little bit like this. So people are afraid of setting goals because there's fear of failure. That's maybe one reason. And the other one is, do I really want to change? Everyone wants change, but am I ready to make the sacrifice, to make a personal change? Because once we set goals, we know we have to move forward in life, and that could be very uncomfortable. Now, if we want to make a positive change, what we need is a methodology. Something practical which brings us closer to our goals. And this is Abhideya. Abhideya defines the practices of devotional service. And also when we look in our personal goal setting, then we need something practical which brings us closer to our destination. And here we make the switch now to the topic of Dharma or Vana, which came up yesterday. How do we know what is my nature? And there are two approaches. One is an ascending and the other one is a descending. Ascending means I try to figure it out by my own strengths. Descending means I look for revelation. And both of those are needed. It's not that we're just leaning back and say, once the mercy hits me, then I move forward in life again. No, we have to make some personal endeavor to attract the mercy. Pray as if everything depends on God. And act as if everything depends on you. That's the magic formula. We have to pray, but then we have to act also. Now, when we speak about the ascending process, Krishna, he gives a formula in the Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvayam Mayashishtam Guna Kama Vibhakashaha. Krishna says, I made this system of Vana Ashram according to Guna and Kama, according to the qualities of a person and activities. And Krishna defines the qualities there as Sattva, Rajas and Tama. So the different Vanas, they are predominated by different gunas. The Brahmanas are predominated by Sattva, the Kshatriyas by Sattva and Rajas, the Vaishyas by Rajas, and the Shudras by Tamas. And within the whole Vedic context, we're getting more descriptions, like in the 18th chapter, Krishna describes what are different activities looking like according to the three modes of nature. Giving in charity, austerities, food. So we can see already like what is our inclination by how we act in this world, according to which modes. Then when we speak about ascending, it's also what are my strengths and weaknesses, to really examine that. Because there are certain things which are very easy for us to do and which we like to do. So that's already an indication about what is my nature. If we try to do it on our own, actually, I give you a very simple test. And this works 100% accurate. But it's so simple. Just imagine there's a house which is burning. And there's some people either in the house or standing in front of the house. Now, according to their nature, people will have a different response to the situation. The Sutras, what will be their response if they're standing in front of a burning house? They're lamenting. Oh my God, that's so terrible. And I don't know what to do. Please, someone help me. The Vaishyas, they have a different mindset. They would say, this is going to be very expensive. The Kshatriyas, they immediately take responsibility. Okay, everyone go here, this is safe, get out of here. They take responsibility. And the Brahmanas, they're just standing on the side and looking and say, there must be a higher reason behind that. So that's very funny. Manida Prabhu, he shared this once. This is the fastest Vana test to find out who has which kind of nature. There are more elaborate tests. Yesterday we mentioned astrology, and astrology is actually very accurate to define your Vana. These different tests which are available, they are confirmation to this. But let's stay with the formula Krishna gave, Guna and Kama. So according to our actions in this world, we have already an indication. And usually we like to do things which are easy for us to do. things which we love to do. So just look, what are the things in your life which are natural for you to do? For example, for me here in the temple, it was very natural to organize festivals. And some people may have no idea where to start when they have to organize a festival for 1,000 people, but for me it was just like that. So that's one kind of talent, quality which I had. When we speak about descending processes, which is there's revelation, then prayer is very important. Because Krishna in our heart, He's gonna reveal to us what we're asking for. And revelation can also mean that we take guidance from mentors. Because usually people see us more clear than we see ourselves. So mentorship is very important in finding our path in life. And as we said before, you cannot think yourself into your Dharma. You have to act accordingly. Which means when you start acting in a certain way, you will find out if the doors are opening or if doors are closing. Because ultimately, to walk on the path of Dharma means you're satisfied, you're happy. And there's some practical questions given in this book here, Career Dharma from Urmila. And she was here just recently, actually not recently, last summer, and gave a seminar on this. And there are four questions which give an indication, like if you act in a certain way, are you guided by this question? For example, the Brahmanas, they ask the question, is it true? The Kshatriyas are asking the question, is it just? The Vaishyas are asking the question, is it sustainable? And the Sutras are asking the question, is it beautiful? So we can always see, like in all our activities, what is motivating us.
Was fragen die Vaishyas?
Ist es sustainable?
Auf Deutsch?
Ist es nachhaltig?
Aha.
Yeah. So, anyway, I would have loved to expand a bit more on that, because these are certainly dominant questions which we all carry with us, but the time for Bhagavatam classes is just too limited for that. So this was just something practical which you can do for yourself, and according to the responses you give to yourself, you can move forward in a certain direction. And the key is really to start to act. Because theoretically, everything may be real, but reality check needs some kind of confrontation with the real world. And ultimately, you can take the guideline that whatever gives you satisfaction and happiness, that's something which you should be doing. Or should be do more of it. It's not that we're just doing things which give us happiness, because there's again responsibility, but if we look on the long term, we should focus more on those things which we really love to do. And then gradually our nature becomes revealed, and it's not that once we know what is my vana, and now I'm just staying in a certain kind of box. So it's more important, like, what are we developing from there? What is my contribution? Because the vanas, they are meant to cooperate with each other. They are not working in isolation. It's, yeah, the Brahmanas and the Sutras, they are more introverts, and the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are more extroverts. But still, everyone is working in one big circle. And in the center is Krishna. So how can we please Krishna the most together? That's a little bit the point. And let's stop here. This is already far beyond time. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I can stay here, but I don't want to hold anyone back any longer. Thank you very much. Kandarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Bhagavatam ki jai.
Grace Divya Simha Dasa ki
Guru Bhaktavinda ki jai.
Спасибо вам тоже за то, что помогали переводить упражнения. Эти? Она